Good morning, everybody. This is Rabbi Kolakowski, Koblenzer Rebbe, and I wanted to wish everybody a very happy Juneteenth. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, and I'm a big fan of this holiday. However, I'm not a fan of stolen valor. Stolen valor, generally, we talk about people who claim to be veterans and never actually served in the military. That's a problem that happens here and there. Or that they were veterans, they did serve in the military, but did not do all the things that they claim that they did. But there's another type of stolen valor, and that is when the enemy takes credit for the good that another side did, that the good side did. We see here how this guy Biden is taking credit for President Trump's efforts to get the vaccine for this pandemic that has gone around. And now we see that the party of Jim Crow, the party of slavery, is trying to take credit for our holiday, Juneteenth, the Republicans' holiday. President Lincoln was the first Republican president. And I'm absolutely certain that if Congress had presented to President Trump the holiday of Juneteenth, he would have signed into law, just like President Reagan signed Martin Luther King Day into law. But they would never have done such a thing because they would not have wanted to give him that which is really his due credit as part of the party of Lincoln. Just like many other things, the injustice of, even though I think it's foolish for people to have recreational marijuana use, I also think it's dangerous to have it be such a criminal offense and a federal crime. However, the states are not legalizing it because it's still federally illegal. And I believe that, again, even though President Trump is a teetotaler, he might have signed into law. I know he did legalize many aspects of marijuana, actually, CBD and so forth. He's responsible for that, of the legalization on the federal level. And he might have done more, but the Democrats didn't want to give him, they want to steal the valor when they're the ones who made the problems with that, because the Democrats still to this day are racists. But they use these little band-aids, like, making a holiday instead of actually helping the disadvantaged people in minority communities, the way President Trump did with his opportunity zones, with his funding for historically black colleges and universities, and many other things that President Trump did to actually help African American communities and help all Americans and fix the institutionalized racism of the Democrats and actually engage in actual social justice. The Democrats like to make shows, put on masks that don't really help, do all these things when in actuality they're hurting these communities and have been forever. We know the history of how all of the civil rights legislation were opposed by Democrats, championed by Republicans. And when LBJ signed them into law, he didn't do so for an altruistic reason to actually help the people who were being discriminated against by his own party. But rather, he said this will fool them into voting for our party. And he used some very horrible language that cannot be repeated and should not be repeated. But that's who they are. That's what critical race theory is about. When people say that this is, I hear this term from people on the right against critical race theory, saying that it's reverse racism. There's no such thing as reverse racism. Racism is racism. And when I say there's no such thing as reverse racism, I don't mean it in the way that the left says it, but what I mean is that reverse racism is racism. It's not merely the bigotry of low expectations. Things like critical race theory are not merely designed to keep the white man down. They're designed to keep the black man down. Groups like Black Lives Matter are designed to ruin and destroy black communities. Taking police out of black communities isn't helping black people, it's hurting black people, because it will increase black on black crime. It's getting someone else to do your dirty work. It's continuing the lynching that the Democrat Party has done for centuries, but just shifting the blame, but getting their goals accomplished. Just like the abortion industry, like we discussed in the other video. Whether you want to talk about legitimate reasons that there might be a health need for an abortion, which medically really there isn't. There's the Dublin Declaration that talks about that, and there are different things that really aren't abortions technically, that certainly are medically needed, that result in the incidental termination of a pregnancy, the undesired termination of a pregnancy. That's different than the intentional termination of a pregnancy, but that's neither here nor there. The real reason, the core reason for the abortion industry is lynching black babies in the womb. And the fact that they lynch some white babies in the womb too, that's collateral damage. And also these elitists see poor whites with the same contempt that they see poor blacks. The Democrat Party to this day is still the party of Jim Crow, of segregation, certainly, of racial essentialism, which is racism. This whole ideology of the critical race theory is saying that the main thing that matters is your race. And that is not an American ideal, meaning I saw someone who was of mixed race get in trouble for her support of interracial marriage. And the people from the critical race theory, from the Black Lives Matter, said, oh, that's genocide against the black race. Well, how's that any different from the extreme on what they call the alt-right, which is really a left-wing movement, as I've described for years, talking about a white genocide? Both of these are nonsense. People are people. Genocide means you're murdering human beings because of racial or ethnic reasons, genetic reasons. But allowing individuals to decide, well, that they really don't care about race and they will marry someone that they love regardless of their race, somehow the neo-segregationists of critical race theory and Black Lives Matter will tell us that that's genocide. How's that any different than Jim Crow? How can you tell me that the party's flipped? This myth that the Democrats keep repeating, that the party's flipped and that somehow all the racist Democrats all became Republicans and all the anti-racist Republicans became Democrats. Well, if that's the case, why are the Democrats still racists? Why has nothing changed? Why are they still fans of segregation? Why are they still engaging in lynching by both lynching black babies in the womb and by removing police officers from black neighborhoods to increase black on black crime intentionally? And the reason is because the Democrats are still racists. Nothing has changed. And now, but they try to hide it by the stolen valor of making a national holiday of Juneteenth, which deserves to be a national holiday and should be a national holiday. But it should have been President Trump that got to sign it into law, and not this racist bigot, tyrant Biden, who is illegally occupying our White House. Thank you. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We'll see you later.